this is going to be a time that makes a powerful difference in your life today. We appreciate you tuning in, and may this service bring a help and a hope to your life and your family, the many activities that you have going on in your world. Greetings to everyone, and as we gather, it's our prayer this service is one that touches your life in a spiritual way. And we want that so that you and God can connect, so that you can form a life of sharing and caring that all of us need, particularly in this time. We hope that this time together will be one that brings hope, but more importantly, help to you and yours as God touches your life today. We're going to start with a song that we have in our hymn called Spirit Song, and we hope that this helps get you in the mood for being in worship this morning. I invite us now to take a moment. Let's enter into a time of prayer. Let us share together. God, as we come to you on this special time, we do so as a people of faith, needing you in our lives today. We ask in this time that you share your Spirit with us so that we can connect with you and receive the blessing and the spiritual guidance that you promise to those who turn to you. This we pray in your name. Well, as I said, we hope this is a time that as we share together, it becomes one that helps you and yours to find a spiritual support that you're needing today. We are so pleased to be able to come to you with this service, and we pray that you and God become closer in spirit, and it's just a new start for you and yours and the many others who are connected with you in a special way. We are located in Keswick-Webster, Iowa, just a few miles north of Sigourney. If you can visit us, we'd be blessed to have you be a part of our congregation. But if not, it's our prayer that via this method, this service is bringing you life and lift in your spirit that we all need. We are able to bring this music and message because of the caring support of our congregation, and we're so glad that you are listening. If you're able and would like to help us, we'd appreciate your sharing a letter with us, letting us know how this service has touched your life. It would make a powerful difference to us. If you are unwilling, any offering you would share with us would be very much appreciated. We're not asking, we're simply saying that it would, if you can and would love to do so, and feel like you're contributing and making this ministry possible for others, we'd sincerely appreciate hearing from you. But most importantly, for us, if you're able to visit, we'd be honored to have you visit our church in either Keswick or Webster, and let us have the joy of greeting you. I ask us now to be in prayer. To pause a moment for the prayer of hope and help for all of us in this season of resurrection. God, as we do come before you, we know that this is an opportunity for us to touch lives. As we've gone through this challenging time with such a small virus that can create such a huge challenge. It reminds us of your words where you said if we just have the faith as a mustard seed, we can move mountains. We ask for that mustard seed faith that you give to us. Be with us, letting your Spirit touch our lives. And as you do, we hope that it becomes an opportunity for you and us to be in ministry together, to show the world that there is an alternative. Your gift, your life, your love for us. Well, today marks one of the two special moments when we recognize the parents of our lives. Beginning first with Mother's Day, and later on we're going to have Father's Day. Of those two, it's no surprise to anyone that today's special recognition of our parental heritage, the mom, is the bigger of the two holidays. Why? Well, let's be honest. Our mom is the one who does the most work. Don't believe me? Well, it's no accident that they call the birth process labor. There's a reason for that. And I can attest to you that because my mother had no problem reminding me. Well, that isn't actually what she said to me. What she actually said was, I brought you into this world and I can take you out. And Mom had no issue about reminding me over and over again how much challenge there was in my being born. The reason is because I weighed 10 pounds, 13 ounces. I was her first child. Mom was not impressed. But once I got here, and once we all became a family, it gave us an opportunity to be a family of faith, and that little church in which I grew up has made such a difference in my life and has given me the opportunity to be able to share. And so it is a labor of love that brought me into this world. It's a labor of love that I share with you today. And we hope that this is a service that really touches your life. But being born is just the start of what for many is a many-year process of raising a child, teaching him or her about the many lessons of life so that he or she can become a viable support to our parents when they're older, as well as a positive contribution to the workforce of our society. And that's not an easy task, as any parent is well aware. Any parent here ever have or still has a challenge of getting a child up for the day? I think many of you can attest to it, what a challenge it is trying to get them up. Two moms were talking about this. The first mom asked the second, how do you get your sleepyhead son up in the morning? To which the second mom said, well, I just put the cat on the bed. Well, how's that help, the first mom wondered. To which the second mom replied, the dog's already there. Let me ask you a question. How many of the moms, either currently or who've raised yours, how many of you had challenges about getting your kids to keep and to clean their rooms? Well, here's what two boys were heard sharing with one another. The first boy said to his friends, I think my mom's getting serious about straightening up our room once and for all. To which his friend said, well, how do you know? Well, I saw her learning to drive a bulldozer. And to finish out the jokes for the morning, okay, hold down the applause. Said, I saw this one and I have to share it with you. Two girls were talking. The first one said to her friend, so what did the mother bullet say to the daddy bullet? To which her friend said, I don't know. What? Are you ready? We're going to have a baby. I know you're sorry you heard that one, but I know you'll tell it to somebody this week. In all seriousness, though, happy Mother's Day to the moms of our congregation, as well as those who are viewing us via this method. We're glad that you're here. This is your day, and well reserved. That's why the holiday, which originally began in England and was known there as Mothering Sunday, was also the period of Lent, the time leading up to Easter. In the United States, the origins of Mother's Day goes back to the years before the Civil War. It was then that Ann Reeves Jarvis of West Virginia helped start Mother's Day work clubs. Now, let's be real, what else would you call it? Because we know that a woman's work's never done. And the purpose of the clubs were to teach local women how to properly care for their children. And it was in these clubs which would later become a unifying force in the region of our country, which was still divided over the Civil War. In 1868, Jarvis organized Mothers' Friendship Day, at which mothers gathered with former Union and Confederate soldiers to promote reconciliation at the end of the Civil War. Another strong support for the recognition of the moms came from abolitionist and suffragette Julia Ward Howe, who in 1870 wrote the Mother's Day Proclamation and was asking mothers to unite in promoting world peace. It would be 2 years later, in 1872, that she suggested there should be a special day to recognize moms and focus on peace in the families in the world. It'd be a Kentucky school teacher, Mary Towell Sassine, who started Mother's Day celebrations in 1887. And from there, a strong effort was made to promote it as a national holiday. That would become the inspiration for Anna Jarvis of West Virginia, who asked that the second Sunday in May be the holiday for remembering moms, and to wear a carnation in honor of them. This special observance was held in a church, and yes, it was the then Methodist Church, specifically the Andrews Methodist Episcopal Church in Grafton, West Virginia, in honor of Anna Jarvis's mother. We started it. It would be at the General Conference of the Methodist Episcopal Church held in Minneapolis, Minnesota in 1912. Interestingly, that's the same location for the upcoming General Conference, which has sparked so much controversy and concern among our denomination today. But it was there in 1912 that a resolution was introduced recognizing Anna Jarvis as the founder of Mother's Day. That became official May 9th, 1914, when President Woodrow Wilson signed the joint resolution of both houses of Congress and the executive branch. It's probably the last time they all three got together and agreed on something. This is why I find it so amazing, all these many years later, that I've heard since I began my ministry in 1978, clergy person after clergy person challenge whether we should consider recognizing this holiday in our congregations. We started it. There's been criticism, there's been opposition, there's been efforts to remove recognition of moms from our churches. From the very denomination who was the first to promote a national holiday in recognition of moms. I say this because of what I just shared a moment ago. Join with me in the next few moments, and this will, I believe will become clear. I'll call your attention to these words from Scripture. And my spirit has rejoiced in God my Savior. For God has regarded the condition of his handmaiden. For behold, from now on all generations will call me blessed. Luke 1, 47, 48. But Mary kept all these things, and she pondered them in her heart. Luke 2, 19. And Jesus went down with them, came to Nazareth, listened to his parents. But his mother kept all these sayings in her heart. And Jesus increased in wisdom and stature and in favor with God and humanity. Over and over again. The writer of the Gospel of Luke shares with us about the most powerful influence on the early life of Jesus. From the moment of Jesus' beginnings, his mother influence is not only acknowledged, it was critical for Jesus to understand who he was and his destiny. Jesus heard each year of his early years how God had come to Mary and shared with her the importance of Jesus' purpose in this world. Let's face it, we've all heard our family stories again and again. This is how traditions of families are carried on. By the time Jesus reached the age of 12, what in his day was considered the beginning of adulthood, he'd heard the family stories again and again, and thanks to Luke, we're told that he learned and well understood his special mission to all of humanity. But I don't believe he was born with that knowledge. He came to this world to save us, which mandated, as we're told again and again, that he had to be like all human beings, which would mean that he had to be taught, that he had to come to that moment when he believed he was called to be a promoter, a follower of God, till he was old enough to realize who he really, really was. God's Son. And that meant he then knew from the study of the Old Testament what his purpose, his calling, his mission in life was for you and for me and all of humanity. And it was his mother, yes, as well as other family members, but primarily via his mother, that he came to understand his identity, understand his mission, that he was God in human form, destined, born, called to bring the salvation of the world. What if Mary had failed? What if Mary had decided she wasn't going to accept the role of shaping the life of this child, as she promised God before God as Jesus was born? Moms here, those are moms who are listening out there, how many of you could live with that secret, that commitment as you watched your child grow? I still remember how hard it was to accept the doctor's statement to me when he said to me that our elementary son had juvenile diabetes. And it was even more difficult for his mother, Meg, my wife, to accept. When I went back to her work that morning and told her, and I still remember her first words one night, she asked me what the doctor said, and I told her. Her first words were, "No, they're wrong." But Mary accepted it. Accepted the word from the angel. As the angel told Mary, she was going to have a child who would be the Savior of the world by taking away the sins of the world. Mary accepted that Jesus was going to be the one, the person, that Jesus, as God, was going to be sacrificed so you and I could receive the forgiveness of sin in our lives, so we could become one with God. On this special Sunday, Mother's Day, I am convinced that the social, domestic challenges in our country and around the world are directly linked to the time invested or not invested in sharing with the children of our communities and around the world this need in their lives and their very souls, of this need to become disciples of God who gave himself for us. Each generation has to come to grips with this major spiritual decision in life. Each and every person has to wrestle with his or her decision regarding the choice of, has to answer that gauntlet that Joshua threw down to the Israelite people so many centuries ago. Choose this day whom you will serve. But as for me and my family, we will serve God. Every generation, each and every new baby born has to be taught the importance, taught the decision in life of who's going to be the focus, the driving force, the foundation upon which all will determine his or her destiny. While Meg and I were in Delaware visiting our son a few months back, I, along with our son, had the opportunity to visit the very site where the first Methodist congregation was formed on American soil. It was a special moment. I was fortunate that the curator was willing to open the doors for us. Opportunities are by appointment only, but he just happened to be there that day and he opened it up. This building reminded me of another moment when a building became a foundational moment in a young man's life, John Wesley. I know many of you have heard the story of John Wesley, but there may be some of you out there that have not. But on this Mother's Day, it's important to consider it once again. My reason for saying this is because even though John Wesley's father was an Anglican minister, the founder of our denomination's family, John's mother, would become the spiritual driving force in his life. I mean, let's face it. For those that may not know, John was born into a family of 19 children. His father had no time to focus only on John, needing to be working to make money just for them to survive. Besides, in his day, the father took little part in the raising of the children. That was the mother's job. I would caution any man in today's culture here to not say the good old days. Not a good idea. And there was a pivotal moment in John's life, which became the driving physical moment in young John's life, and his mother's, that would give him the inspiration, the calling, give him his purpose and spiritual foundation. It happened when John Wesley was just a small boy, living in a parsonage the church provided home. Because of his dad being a minister, they were a family which believed in the power of God to send lessons, moments which spoke of God's calling and purpose for persons. One such moment happened to John when he was a young boy in the family of 19 children. That in and of itself is a tribute to Susanna, John's mother, that she could raise 19 children, and she was their teacher. That she had the time to teach anything to her children. The moment to which I refer, and I've mentioned it before, but it was a powerful lesson for all of us to see that moments in life, both the positive as well as the negative, as lessons of God's teaching, training, calling, and lives. Young John was a small child when a fire broke out in the church-provided house, and young John was trapped in an upstairs window. Gripped with panic, John's mother, Susanna, was grief-stricken at the thought of one of her children being burned alive. But the fire was put out thanks to the people of the community who set aside everything that they were doing to help rescue any and all human life in such a crisis. Susanna, in her joy and in her thankful spirit, said the rescue, the saving of young John was a miracle. And she claimed that young John was taking a phrase from the Old Testament, quote, a brand plucked from the burning, Amos 4:11. On this Mother's Day Sunday, it is important for us to take seriously the power, the influence we can have in our children early on. What we consider foundational principles of life can become the very hope for the next generation, but we've got to teach them. We have to be the adults who face that world to make their mark on the next generation. This moment, when that fire happened and he was rescued, became the sustaining force for Wesley when people would criticize him, would sustain him when they threw rocks at him, gave him hope when it appeared that persons were hopeless. How about you? Wesley believed the world was his parish. Not much humbleness there, is there? Are we willing to see any and all persons of our part of the world as disciples waiting to happen? On this Mother's Day, are the young children, the next generation, seen as the hope for faith, hope for the sharing and the caring ministries of love for persons? We need, not just asking, we need to allow this Mother's Day to remind us of moms like Susanna Wesley, moms like Mary, Jesus' mother. They both saw their children facing challenging odds in life and saw them overcome those odds. And it was possible because of the spiritual faith, that spiritual force, that spiritual foundation that was given to them when they were young. It hasn't changed all these centuries later. Just like with Mary, just like with Susanna Wesley, every generation needs to be reminded, needs to reflect on our role as influencers to those who are coming up. Just to prove my point one more time, there was a hymn that we have in our book, in our hymnal, that's found on page 717. Now, obviously, those of you that are watching can't look at it, so I will turn to 717 for you. And as you can, I've got it right here, and that hymn is the Battle Hymn of the Republic. Now, what's interesting about this is that it was written by Julia Ward Howe in 1861. 1861. The next major war for our country and its future following the Revolutionary War. Who was Julia Ward Howe? She was the daughter of a very prominent New York City family who in 1861, just after the Civil War started, was inspired to write the words of a song that you can see if you were to look in our hymnal, and put those words to the tune of John Brown's Body. This woman who believed in the importance of recognizing the influence of moms went on to accomplish much more than any of us can even remember. I had to look a lot of it up. She wrote poems and plays, as well as served for many years as the editor of her husband's magazine, The Commonwealth. She helped organize, as well as served for many years as president of the New England Women's Club. She was the first president of the New England Women's Suffrage Association, helping to seek the rights of women. She was a noted lecturer, a writer on literary and cultural topics, women's rights in the 1860s. Who would have thought? And her book topics included the following: a trip to Cuba, sex and education in 1860, modern society, Margaret Fuller, a Civil War editor and writer. This is definitely not the life of someone we think of when we think of women in the 1860s. She was a trendsetter. She was a major player whose life was a stepping stone to the world we have today. Another influencer was at the cross that day Jesus was crucified. Mary, Jesus' mother. Unless any of us have children, we cannot begin to imagine what went through Mary's mind and her heart. On this Mother's Day, it's important for us to pause and reflect. Reflect on what historically Jesus gave to us. What price was paid for us to have that gift. And all because Jesus was taught to know his destiny because of the training, the teaching that he received from his mother, who, as the scriptures say, pondered all these things in her heart. As Jesus came to understand and was supported by his mother's love and commitment. You and I are all called to make our mark on society, to inspire the minds, the hearts of the next generation as they watch and learn from us what's truly important in life. Did you catch that last line? As they watch and learn from us what's truly important in life. Not by being told, by watching. Have you realized that when we make our mark in the world, it's the influencing of the young minds of the next generation? In fact, each of the letters of that phrase, making our mark, the title of the message, speak today, don't they? M-O-M. Amen. Our final hymn for today. It's going to be song number 557. Blessed be life, as you reflect on this special time this weekend, be reminded that all that we have, all that we are, all that we're called to be is because of what Jesus Christ has done for us. Reflect upon that opportunity and moment in your life. Let God touch your life. And if you do feel that there's something important in your life that you need to share, feel free to contact us. Email us. Let us know. But most importantly, don't let the moment go by, because this is an important moment for you. We look forward to hearing from you, and we are so happy that we were able to share with you today. May this be a time that touches your life, and have a great Mom's Day.